Thomas Althouse. Welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. Happy Valentine's Day to you, and glad I was able to get you on. This was the last second guest opportunity. I heard about you from John Smarty Mendez posting something on Facebook saying that you were doing some interview earlier this week, and I didn't watch that, but I did watch your Alfred Weber interview that you did several days ago to get as a primer for this interview, and I know you did one on Project Camelot too. I did not see that, but I'm guessing probably even more stuff was discussed in that one because it's longer. I know, although Carrie, I'm guessing, probably had the chance to get people to ask you some questions on that one. People are more than welcome to tune into that. So I don't know if a life story is really necessary here, but if you want to give one, by all means. But what I really want to make sure that you do at the very beginning of this interview, before I ask what I have to ask, is tell us anything and everything that you can regarding how your idea for the Matrix was stolen and how it's gone and how you know that they screwed you over, if they did screw you over, and all the unfortunate things that have happened to you. So you've got the floor. I'll put myself on mute, and I will not interrupt you unless some voice tells me that I absolutely must interrupt you.
All right, well, feel free to jump in any time, but I'm glad to be here with you. And it's so wild that we're both local. This is so bizarre. It's rare because we've been doing so many interviews lately, and one was with Caravan to Midnight just recently, and another woman who's got all of Europe, basically. So it's really been nice to meet all these different people, but to come local, it's great to come home. So appreciate you having me on. So, yeah. But basically, how do we know that it was taken? Wow. Well, we have actually contacts that contact us and give us all sorts of information. And when they call, they give us like dynamite blow away stuff. And each contact, do you prefer being called Andrew, or how do you go by?
Most people have always called me Fisher throughout my life, but radio show etiquette, I guess, call the host by his first name. So
okay, it's funny because I have a piece greenlighted for Off Broadway with a character named Fisher in it. So synchronicities all the time, bells going off. But yeah, call the domestics. Anyway, thank you. Okay, so Andrew, yeah. So basically, I have contacts that call me, and they keep giving information where they feel like it's going to blow the lid off everything. It's going to ignite. The public's going to get behind it and understand it, and just spread it like wildfire. And it never seems to really ignite because I've been sandwiched between two claimants, and our case was actually just thrown where we never had a day in court. And so that is a talking point for the other side, where they'll be going around going like, you lost, get over it. A lot of that stuff being sent. But no, we never had our day in court, but now we will. Now we will. But now contacts are coming forward now, since these interviews are starting to blossom and get everywhere all the time. I've had 8 this week. So everything's starting to spread really, really wild. And again, it's nice to be local here. But now with these contacts coming through, we just have one from Spielberg. But what they're telling us is stuff like, all your personal stats are inside the film. Like, get that. Imagine getting a call like that. You're a ripped off writer, and you get a call from somebody from Hollywood that wants to remain anonymous. But they tell you exactly where to look in the film, and I'll tell you guys exactly where to look. If you go to the interrogation scene in the first, Matrix, it is the first scene they shot, right? And in that first scene they shot, you see Smith laying down a folder, a dossier, and he opens it up for just a split second. I mean, look how fast it goes. So if you get a chance, you can head to it sometime during this discussion tonight. Plenty of time too. Go to the interrogation scene. Go to where Neo's seated in front of Smith walking in. Smith lays down the green folder and flips it open, and take a look at what's there. See if you can actually freeze frame that on the first shot. Now, keep in mind, when this was entered in 1999 and aired, it was a video only, right? So to try to freeze frame a video, you're not going to get very good quality. But when you get a freeze frame with the digital now, you're going to see a page even in motion. But if you look at the entries, what the man told me was that these were put here on purpose, right? This is verified also by the stunt Batman for Warner Brothers, Quentin. So a whole myriad of guys have been contacting me. They have a heart. They usually don't like the Wachowskis, and they've done service to let me know. So if you look at that graphic, if you get a chance, or if you just want to jot down notes to take a look later, you can also go to redpillrising.org, redpillrising.org, all one word. And that's our new website where we're putting these graphics on. You can go right to the first slide on that under my young boy's tribute that he made. Go down to the slides and you'll see the first entry there. But when you get to it, you're going to see something really interesting. This might really be interest of you, Andrew, is that you're going to see a rival school there of yours. So if you go down, page down, you're going to see where I went to high school. And right there on the matrix entry is Central West High. Now,
Well, actually, since you say that, I didn't actually go to Upper Moreland. I went to Lower Moreland. I recently moved to a house that's still in the Huntington Valley area, but Huntington Valley, that's just a post office designation for towns in Lower Moreland, Upper Moreland, Abington, and some of Bucks County. Of course, Central Bucks West, I know all about that. It was a football dynasty with Mike Pettin and his son,
that's
Mike
great.
Pettin Jr.'s in the NFL. So yeah, I'm familiar
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
yeah. Very good, very good. Well, even though you went to Lower Moreland, you're still upper with us. There you go. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So isn't that crazy? I mean, what are the chances? What are the odds, right, Andrew? What are the odds? And for listeners, what are the odds of having your high school there, right? Now, keep in mind the clearance department at Warner Brothers is supposed to scratch out any chance that there's going to be any matching similarities for a copyright infringement. So here's this man calling me and going, yeah, look at this graphic. And you can imagine my reaction when I'm looking at Central West High. Now, what they do is he told me they're tweaking entries. Susanna Bolgen says that to get by the clearance department, the Wachowskis are going to enter in multiple entries. She calls it stacking, right? That's what we're going to look at right now. So with that graphic, if you're not having a visual of it right now, you don't have access to the website, just jot down the note, redpillrising.org, and then take a look for my alma mater. And so when you get down there and you see schools, right? The other school is Owen Patterson, right? Now that's the production manager. Now keep in mind that the Wachowskis actually blame his department for these entries. So here we have Owen Patterson stuck in as the school, right? The one school, which is, great joke. And you got Michelle McGahee listed as Neo's mom when you get to see that, right, on the graphic. It's all a stat sheet, rap sheet on Neo. So, I mean, what are the chances? So what happens is both of those guys are blamed, their departments, by the Wachowskis for sticking in. Now, keep in mind, they're not saying it's not true. They're not saying it's not my entries. They're blaming their staff for it. That's pretty glaring, right? And that's the only testimony they gave because they wanted to get around that one. So we had, anyway, so Central West High is tweaked to Central West Junior High, and now they're trying to make a big deal out of that. But I'm sorry, Central West High is Central West High. The words are all there, right? And so if you go up above that, you're going to see John A., right? John Anderson. John Anderson as Neo's dad, and John A. is my dad's name. So now we got two stacked in there. We're meeting Susanna Bolgen's criteria. The stacked entries into the first graphic. And keep in mind that the first graphic shot is going to be the one most closest to the heart of the Wachowskis to complete their joke. So there you go. So a lot of things work in our favor for we're at 1,000. So now we look up a little farther. What do you see? You're going to see a birthday or a date. You're going to see July 22nd, right, on that graphic. Just if you don't see it right now, get to it later, just jot it down. July 22nd, okay. So July 22nd is what my birthday was listed as when this was shot in 1999, right? And so what's really interesting is that later in 2003, records are corrected, and the Wachowskis put the birthday again in. If you're at Red Pill Rising, you can go 2 slides over and see a clock face filling the screen, right? And that is from the Animatrix. So this is later in 2003, they're putting in another set of numbers, all black hands pointing to a 7, 2, and one before the 6059. So 7, 2, 59 entered clearly in. What are the odds? It's like you had to win the lottery. What are the odds of having your exact birthday on the clock and then also your high school entered in? What are the odds then mathematically? I think we start to approach the affinity line of not possible, of having your high school, your birthday again corrected, your dad's name, and of course, the author's name. So why does Neo have 2 names? Well, Neo ends up with Thomas A. as a name. Thomas A? They made sure Thomas A. Well, of course, that's who you're talking to. And what's interesting is when you add Anderson to John and Anderson to Thomas A., that is our ancestral Scottish clan name. Now, people might say, well, why would they research you? Well, the man who called had an answer. He said they're obsessed by you. They can't understand your work. They don't understand the layers of it at all. They hate you. And so they want to be more clever than you and one-up you, especially Larry Wachowski. He was obsessed, he said. So you have this birthday. Now, so obsessed, if you look at that clock once more, when you get a chance to see it, again, go to it and see it, you'll see the black hands on the exact birthday, but there's another chilling element. You see a red hand pointing to a 4 past the 4, right? And I don't care if people say, oh, he's full of garbage, he's just a hack, he's making this up. No, it's all right there. I don't have to worry about that. There's no scrubbing the lines here. It's all right there. They did it for me. So 4 past the 4, the red hand, means I was 44 in 2003. They're right. They're right. Okay. Yeah, I was. And a red hand in Hollywood means you're going to be taken out. That's why Joan Rivers, it's, conspiracy theory or not, there's all this allusion to 4 and 40 and 4. Well, 4 is the number for kill in Hollywood. All right. Now, what's interesting, go back again, not to jump you around, go back again to the first graphic of the Matrix, the most important one for them, where Susanna Bolgen says anything in for a split second is for the Wachowskis' eyes only. Right. And you also have testimony from Larry Wachowski during his divorce case with Thea Bloom in 95 to 96, right? Or actually 2003, I'm sorry. That he's saying that every cell, every piece of information in the Matrix's trilogies are for Andy and his eyes to know, to understand what it means, not for the public, and that these names are also to complete a joke. They're to be a joke, right? So Susanna Bolgen says that too, that anything in is for their eyes only, anything in for a split second. Well, this first graphic is in the film, inserted in the first shot, taken upside down for a split second. So it's really important to them to really slam the author and be more clever. Now in the column, you're going to see bold numbers and letters. In the column, you're going to see TA 4099. Well, TA was 40 in 99, right? So the Wachowskis are really hammering it home, because during the pitch session with Bonaventura, which we have on tape that the session occurred, it happened through Lenny Coco, his best friend. It went to Bonaventura, who still claims on Wikipedia that he, discovered and shepherded the Matrix story, and is one of the few that understands it. That's right, because he had the script submitted to him. Then he had me come up to Lenny Coco's home in New York, Long Island, and then talk to him on the phone and explain everything to him. He was already set to do it. That's one of those things where they said ahead of time they're going to do it. Now they're going to get the information. So that made Bonaventura a valuable man. And so what's interesting is you have that last number numerical entry after TA 4099. Now everything's important there. So 380, right? What's the significance of 380? Why is it there? What's interesting is it has a very important purpose. The purpose for 380 entered in there is actually a very, very chilling one, a very chilling one. And I'm just going to get down to the point here where I can actually read it to you. I don't want to get it wrong. So here we go. Why is 380 in there? And here's an exact reading. Fans will know the Wachowskis, and for those that don't, you're going to learn now. The Wachowskis are very, very steeped in numerology. They hold it up as one of their, special features, that they're really into numerology. So let's look at what it means. What does 380 mean? Since they're springing all my other things, like my high school, my birthday, my dad's name, high school, all, my name, all in there. Well, it means this: 380. To let go of the worldly things and possessions you hold close to your heart, and it's to prepare you for your death on this earthly plane. So what they're doing is they're putting in there also, just like that red hand on the clock, they're saying there, you're going to lose everything. We're going to take your stuff. And the joke is, you should thank us. We freed you for your death. We've taken everything closest to your heart, right? Let go of the worldly things and possessions you hold close to your heart. Almost Masonic, right? So we freed you, Tom Althouse, so that now you can die. Basically, is how it's explained to me. So that's, they don't miss a beat, but their cleverness needs to come through the hidden text and the hidden entries and the hidden graphics. That's how they can be more clever than the other author. The only problem is they're not liked throughout Warner Brothers and other studios. They're considered hacks. They're considered people who failed at painting. They failed at school. Their mom said all they did was video games. So they're not liked. They're seen as not deserving. So, of course, people are going to be calling. And that has increased now, Andrew. What's happening is people are calling more and more and giving me information, everything we need. Because now, if you consider middle players, they're responding to the carrot on the stick, right? And whoever holds the biggest carrot on the biggest stick, they're going to follow. So if they've recruited them to do these things, and suddenly now we're winning, which we can now take them to cleaners in court. They're all now running for the hills now. Joel Silver just left Alder Carbon, so he's not attached to it anymore. Can't get away from us. We got you down. If we're smart enough to write the Matrix, we're smart enough to follow the trails. And so now he's making a run for it, right? And so what's going on is, and also one other thing too, you just had Bob Iger. Bob Iger contacted us, as proofs on our phone. Bob Iger had his main guy, his assistant at Disney, contact us and tell us that he's going to, talk to us. Well, that's pretty wild, right? And so what happens is they clean house, and an article just came out. They clean house of all their lower echelon pedophiles, right? Because I was saying during interviews that Disney has a sex ring, right? And so they clean them out. And then we get the word back that Bob Iger's not going to talk to us now. So he's just buying time to take care of house cleaning in case we able to go through. And so basically we're sitting here where we now have the power. And we've gotten calls from contacts saying, they feel like you've won not in court yet, but we will, that you have all the power, and that's the main concern. That's the main concern. So now we're getting ready for the final battle. And let me just get rid of this phone. It's just 1 second. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to have this on. Stop. Sorry about that. Just 1 second so I can kill this. Come on, go away. I'll just take the battery out. Oh, I'm going to take the battery out as we talk. All right, anyway, we got all this stuff, all this evidence, all this amazing things going on, all these people now contacting us, and we actually have studios now vying for the real life story. Think of this, Andrew. Now that we survived the gauntlet, and we're considered the ones that are, that all these interviews are breaking forth, all the evidence is coming out, we got people wowed and wooed. Now the studios are concerned that the real life story is where the money is. And think how heinous and insidious this is. So my family, I have 2 murdered sons, and they let me know they're murdered, right? Because of all this, because I wrote a piece that changed the world. So 2 sons dead. And if you want to know if the real writer is the real writer, check their trail of attrition. See how articulate they are. See if they actually have the evidence. Do the critical thinking. Go to their sites and see if it's there. You won't find it on Sophia Stewart's sites. You're not going to find evidence. You're going to find a lot of garbage. But what you're going to find on our side is the evidence. And I'm just saying, it's not tooting a horn. I'm just going to lay it out for the sake of my last son's life. I'm being told that by doing interviews, he's alive now. Because one of the calls I have recorded from a Disney contact, said that they know you're concerned for your son's safety, which is supposed to keep me from doing interviews. Aiden and I decided, no, we're going to go ahead and do them. We're going to go ahead. That we're safer bringing the word out, right? Bring it out. And it worked because now we're getting calls from contacts saying, you've won. We recorded those too. You won the chess game, they call it. And so now the studios are at odds with each other. And you're going to see, instead of writers dying now, you're going to see middle players dying now. So anybody who was involved in this, like Epstein and things like this, the rings are being killed off now. So as writers have made it through the gauntlet, so they're killing off the assassins, the middles, right? It's an amazing time. So now instead of being threatened with death, we're now being courted. Now they want the real life story. And that's why Warner Brothers did that Richard Jewell story. It's so different than anything you've seen, because the Richard Jewell story is a test story to see if our story would be marketable, right? They're doing already tests on it. Meanwhile, they're throwing Matrix 4 forward because the Wachowskis want to get it in before we get them. Well, they're not going to be able to get it done. We'll get them. We'll get them and put an injunction on them. So everything's falling apart for them. We're also in a situation where we have the copyright on the Immortals, right? Our original work. And there's no copyright on the Matrix. Well, Matrix 4 they're doing now, but the other ones there weren't. And so what we have is they copyrighted, the Spielberg insider gave us all this information just recently. He switched sides. Now he wants to work with us. And we're not supposed to use the name right now, but he's there. He gave us this information right where it was in the Copyright Office, where we had to put in a certain keyword to find it. Otherwise, you'd never see it. Where my title, The Immortals, is being copyrighted by the Wachowskis, copyrighted by Warner Brothers, copyrighted by Disney, and all these other companies, right? They all had a take on it. And so what's happening now is whatever company can secure us, like Bob Iger making that call, any company that can secure us, they can cleanse their part out of this horror story and let the rest fall while they make a fortune off the story they helped forge, which cost me my son's lives. But that's how Hollywood works. It's like, that's Hollywood, baby, they say. So it's like I'm supposed to step in line as a father who's grieving and say, okay, let's make the money. But I'm told by contacts that's all they realize, that they only understand power. That's it. They don't understand anything else. Only power. And even when I said, well, what about compassion and writing as a service industry? What about doing it as a gift to the public to enrich them and lift art and all humanity can evolve? No, they don't understand that, Tom. They only understand power. And keep in mind that in this power game, the way they destroy you, and I've taped calls, I do it, I don't care, I'm going to have the records from different contacts that are saying they're going to destroy you. Now, what does that mean, Andrew? What does that mean, destroy you in Hollywood? It's when I first heard it, it sounded sort of innocuous, like what, insult you? That's okay. No, destroy you in Hollywood means that your sons are going to die first. You're going to watch them basically die, right? You're going to be told that they died. Therefore, if you told the public they died, you'd seem like an idiot, right? Like you're some obsessed conspiracy theory guy. But they're making sure you know. That's why the contacts do this. They want you to know all the information. So if you bring it forward, you look like you're crazy, right? And so that's why the evidence is so important. So anyway, the 2 sons are dead. I have Aiden left, and the only reason Aiden is alive and didn't die next before I died is because they know I'm concerned for his safety. So we've had cars pulling up. I photo and timestamp them. Neighbors would call it in. Nothing would be done about it because the local police are in the pocket of the Hollywood groups, right? And so what happens is we had break-ins and guys standing at the bottom of the steps. Then they leave. Now we're getting a 9mm. So I don't think we're going to do that anymore. But the thing is, and that was advised by one of the interviews I just saw. It told me exactly where to get it. I'm going to get it. Yeah, I'm going to get it. They show at the bottom of the steps now. Then they can go in a box. I'm not going to have another son threatened again, or parents.
Okay,
So,
and hold on,
yeah.
I want to interrupt you here, but you mentioned Fitzpatrick, the politician, and
Yes,
which
yes.
police department in particular is in cahoots, was in cahoots with him?
Warrington Township police chief is in the pocket with Fitzpatrick. Now, Fitzpatrick controls my sister, right? I mean, look what happened to my sister, Andrew. My sister is a school counselor, right? That's the lowest rung in the psych field, and she's not even licensed, right? Not even licensed. So what's going on here? She was my, quote, biggest fan, right? All these entries about being the biggest fan and Tom, don't ever give up and keep going. And if you always have me no matter what. And suddenly in 2016, she jumps ship. She goes silent. If you're contacted in this scenario, and we're going to actually put the playbook together so people can understand how it works, you know, after we get the films made and stuff. We're making on the films now, working on it. But the thing is, you'll have a playbook how it works. And one of the playbook rules is this. If you're contacted and bought off, like, you know, Dean Lorenz's Wine and Dine the Wachowskis, right? If you're contacted and bought off, then you don't talk to your target anymore. You don't talk to them. You make them go cold, put them on ice, make them worry about what happened, and they try to reach you, and it helps disrupt them and make them in despair or something. It's all part of the formula, right? So my sister was like the closest thing to me on earth at the time, cuts me off. And I don't hear from her, right? So what happens? So when my son, Sean, is killed, she contacts me. That's 2 years later, right? And I'll get to the Fitzpatrick thing with this. She contacts me and she says to me, and thank God I had a tape recorder nearby. She's saying to me, Tom, you have to say you're angry. You're angry. I'm like, Julie, you haven't talked to me in 2 years, and my son just died this day, and you're calling to tell me I'm angry? Like, yeah, you're angry and you're bipolar. I'm like, where are you coming from? What? I don't have anything like that in me. She's like, you have to say to me, say it back to me. You're angry, bipolar, and suicidal. Can you imagine anybody saying that to any family member when their son just died? What? They're supposed to say back to them, you're suicidal? And then she repeated again, you have to say this to me. Well, first of all, Andrew, why is she telling me to say it? Right? Why is she telling me to say it? Because that's the go out. That's the ticket. That is a strategy for acquisition of intellectual property. Because if the public hears, oh yeah, he said that, and then you're set off in one of these suicide things like happened to Gray State, right? So what happens is the authors, this is the best number one way to get your material. And then the sister gets airtime and says, oh yeah, he said it was these things. End of story. Nobody looks at any more evidence. It's over. Obviously the guy was crazy if his sister said it, ignoring all the rewards she just got. So let's look at the trail here. What happens is, in fact, when she finally said, no, if you don't say it, then we'll never have a relationship. And I'm like, well, we haven't even talked in 2 years. What loss is that? And he's like, if you don't say it, then you're saying I don't matter. And I was like, okay. I said, well, if that's the conditions, then you don't matter. I'll see you later. Right. And so what we find out is Fitzpatrick's been handling her. Brian Fitzpatrick, right? Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick. If you look him up, he's California FBI, right? California FBI. So why is California FBI, when I'm coming out here, why is California FBI, first of all, becoming our congressman, right? Fast-tracked in, right away. And that gives him control of local police. In fact, we have an article from covering up for him in the papers right after we had started announcing things going on. They did the cover-up article. And they said that he was, usually FBI don't get involved in certain things, but in this case, Brian Fitzpatrick was helping the country by doing a anti-corruption department. Well, that's interesting. Anti-corruption sounds like what is that? The Japanese commissar, whatever it is, the PR guys that go around and beat you with sticks and pull you out if you're not hanging your laundry right. It's like anything can be under anti-corruption. And then we find out a chilling fact that they can do anything to us anytime they want, right? So if you go off their death list because you've exposed too much and you got 14 other screenplays like I do ready to go, and now they're interested in our real life story, they don't want to kill you. Now you're an asset. I'm told I'm an asset. Got it on tape, right? So now that I'm an asset, they're not going to kill me. They're not going to kill Aiden. What they're going to do is try to shut me away for life in a criminally insane institution. How do they pull that off? Well, I never knew about it before, but you can do a 302. So Brian Fitzpatrick, who's now our congressman, rams through a 302 with no causation. We're at our house, and late at night comes banging on the door. Actually, the door gets busted open. Who's there? 5 of the local corrupt, I'll say corrupt, Warrington Township police officers. And what how they dress? They're dressed for the show. They've got body armor on. They've got mounted chest cameras. And they're even wearing black skull caps like they're in Navy SEALs. And these clowns have come to take me away. I'm not allowed to be out of their sight at this point. They frisk me. They say, get your clothes, go up with me. Not allowed to be out of their sight. I'm dragged off to the crisis center. They've already had people. You have to have 4 people put you away, right? So these 3 people have already signed off. Then they get this lady who's going to be there the next day, and they have 2 Secret Service. I'm not kidding you. 2 Secret Service guys show up under Fitzpatrick. Keep in mind, my sister said that she'll have Secret Service on us because she works for Fitzpatrick, right? And the only reason I get out of there is because I explained the Matrix case, like what's going on and why they would do this to the last doctor, who's already been said, you're not going to get out of here, and she lets us go. So my sister, let's look at this. My sister talks to Fitzpatrick all the time, right? What has she gotten from Fitzpatrick? Well, here's something really wild. Now that we're announcing Fitzpatrick on the air and what he's been doing, how his connection to Spielberg, California FBI, and also here to the local police that are corrupt, this police chief, right? This is a nightmare, never returns calls. What has Julie gotten from Fitzpatrick? Okay, let's look at the packages. Here's your deal. School counselor, what do they make for a salary? And anybody's out there as a school counselor might figure, just check it off what you think you could afford when I list it here. Okay, so what does she get? A trip to London. Okay, a trip to London. Or just before that, she gets a trip to the Caribbean. To the same place that Trudeau, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau, went to, where they had their Arab yacht scandal. So she's down there at the best place you can go, right? Just before that, San Diego, New York, right? And just before that, black tie dinners in D.C., right? And what just happened just now on the floor of Congress, Fitzpatrick has done a huge 14-minute thing holding up an overblown picture of Julia Zarko, lowly school counselor, lowest of the rung, and talking about he wants to enter into the annals of, congressional records and how great she is. Well, there's another reward, right? And what's prior before that? She gets president of the school psychologist in Pennsylvania. She also gets top psych person in Pennsylvania. Well, she's not even licensed, right? She's an elementary school counselor. She's really doing well for that. Jimmy Fallon show appearance. CNN, owned by Warner Brothers, spokesperson. She gets to do a Sandy Hook spokesperson role, where she talks to us about that. It just goes on and on and on. School counselor. So she's well rewarded. So suddenly, from being my biggest fan, she becomes all the talking points you can say. When I said I wouldn't say I was suicidal, she's now claiming to anybody she can get, that I called her frequently telling her I was. Could you imagine? Could you imagine calling up somebody and saying, I'm suicidal? I don't even know how the conversation would go. And then they call again, and they call again. So that's how they set the stage. So here's the deal. Now it's not take me out. Now it's a 302. What happens? Explain to me by middles. Here's why it's done. And first of all, keep in mind I have on tape also that Julia Zarko, the contact says she's been offered rewards and threats. So obviously, yeah, she's in the pocket. But she's a little overblown on it. She wants her big rewards coming up. And so what happens is, she calls me one time when there was a moment where she couldn't, inflict us. And she said, Tom, somewhere along the line, I screwed up. This happens all the time. People that are middle playing or even lead attorneys will come and say something like, you're actually really a nice guy, then back to hitting you, beating you up, basically, So they slip. They're actually fans of the work, right? But they're doing their job for the rewards. So the deal is this. If I'm shut away with a 302, they had Julia Zarko and Andy Zarko, her abusive husband, and he is, pushing my mom right away to take Aiden away, my last son, who's a genius. And so incidentally, look at the tribute at some point that he made, the tribute that Aiden made. Now they're trying to say he didn't make it. It's on that Red Pill Rising page, right? And on that page, you're going to see his tribute that he made. And I'm saying, don't take his credit away from his work after he took mine. Let him have his credit for his work, right? In fact, attorneys I just talked to, we got a lot of motion, so that he's going far. He's going far when they saw it. So get a chance to look at that and see how he capsulized what I couldn't in centuries get together with and put together. So anyway, here's the deal. If I'm 302'd, right, put away, well, you can imagine what's going to happen. Aiden's taken to this top attorney they have. He's supposed to be one of the top 10 in this country or something. He's a total religious right guy. Really nasty piece of work. Bush fan all the way. This guy is claiming he's also a child psychiatrist. So what's happening here? He's getting ready to reprogram, recondition my son to think his dad's bad, and now you're going to be taken care of, and And what they've done is Julia Zarco made sure all family isolated us so that Aiden feels like he's not around anybody, so he can be loved as he's pulled and then convinced, reprogrammed. So the deal is this: if I go 302 locked away, then I get an opportunity after 2 weeks, locked away with a criminally insane. Because what's a 302? It means that I have a what is it called? A suicide pact, right? A suicide pact to kill my parents and my son. Are you guys freaking serious? And if anybody looks at my online, it's like all my quotes, all my things that are on Goodreads and things like this are all about lifting humanity. Even the work I did with the Matrix story is about lifting humanity. We only make it together. One day we'll all evolve where we can't even think of harming one another. So it's like it doesn't fit at all. No profile. And so now what I'm learning is attorneys I've met, they gave me a card to carry. If they come banging on the door again, we're going to haul them off instead. They can't touch us now. We got a powerful firm. And also we're looking at, going ahead and putting these guys behind bars. And we will try to do the local police commissioner too. And
okay, and since you mentioned that, Brian Fitzpatrick's not my representative. Madeline Dean is, but I certainly could do my part at the local level to assist you. I have on a couple of occasions actually gone to township meetings and done things that made the police and the politicians look stupid. I don't need to elaborate on that, but if I were to actually go to a Warrington Township Commissioners meeting, and would you actually want me to stay out of this or go there and say,
no,
you guys...
It's all full disclosure now. You gun it, baby. You go. You full on guns because you got backing. Do it. Make their hair stand up, because that's what's going to happen. I appreciate so much you offering too, but that's what helps keeps my son alive and helps bring everything forward. See, they're trying to stop us from bringing forward our evidence, right? Because think of this. But the answer is yes. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before I go on?
No, just if I do go to a Warrington Commissioners meeting, is there, aside from saying, I know that you guys know who Tom Althouse is, and I order you to, as your master in public, I order you servants to, what would you want me to say?
Here, say, stop using taxpayer money to reward Julia Zarco, a lowly school counselor who hasn't earned anything and hasn't earned the rewards you bestowed on her, especially the floor of Congress.
Okay.
Just get back to work and do your job. Or go back to California and be FBI.
Okay, I'll check when the next Warrington Commissioners meeting and see. Well, they'll probably be expecting me at this point. So,
well, that's great. Yeah, well, their hands are tied. Keep in mind, Andrew, they're saying that game over. We won. They can't stop. You know why? They can't stop us? Because now the 302 is out of the picture.
Okay.
Now I'll explain the 302 in a picture. Well, I'll explain that in a moment why that's so good. But here's the reason they can't stop us. It's catch-22 for them. They're caught. That's why they're running now. That's why overtures like Bob Iger wanting to talk. I mean, who does Bob Iger call considering to talk a deal? How many people on the planet, right? Basically. So here we go. We hold the immortal script, right? Now, thanks to the Spielberg middle, we now hold the entries where they copyrighted my title, No Body of Work, Andrew, no body of work, an audience, no body of work. That means an insider, right? So then the copyright specialist and director of the Copyright Office sends us the full script, gold seal, bolted proof, preceding the Matrix, right? Right? And so what they have now is all these 346 to 348 titles on the Immortals that they can use. Anybody steals can draw off that, right? And they still have their slot in the Copyright Office, so that if I was killed, that 4-4 red happens, right? Or the 380 numerology entry that they put in, they really want me dead, right? So I don't look over their shoulder anymore, right? So if that happens, then into the slot goes my work, and they've got my script. See, that's the strategy. So probably through the Copyright Office, you've got a lot of these little slots, titles only, and you're going to see Dino Laurentiis on it. Yep, the Dino Laurentiis and Laurentiis Films. Now, Dino Laurentiis Films with a copyright on my title, No Body of Work. Well, that's the guys that wine and dine the Wachowskis, right? And so they're going to have beautiful women and fame and fortune. So he didn't miss a beat. While he's wining and dining, he has got a slot at the Copyright Office, think on it, with the Immortals title on it, and 346 other titles. And that's on the redpillrising.org. You can see it if you slip those slides by. Take a look at it. And watch how that morphs, right? Because listen what happens. When I end up performing in 1996 out at Ellen Gear's Will Gear Theater in Hollywood, right? And get critics pick and things are happening really well. So I'm starting to blossom out there. So what happens? So in July 1996, De Laurentiis no longer is putting his name on that slot on my title, right? He's now got it in the name of two of the biggest investment firms in our world, right? And why? Why? Well, investment firms, they don't create intellectual property, right? They don't sit at the lunchroom and go, wait, I got a great idea. Let's switch from investing to being writers. You know, I got a good one. No. So the investment firms are claiming ownership and development. That's incredible. That's just mind-boggling. But the thing is this. Here's how it's explained to me. I get all my answers. I actually can call people and have every single question I have answered. Isn't that something? It's a smorgasbord. That's why we're going to win. It's over. It's totally over. Watch them run and watch them hang themselves.
Okay, but I interrupt you again, but I'm sure you could have guessed this was coming. There is an article that I just uploaded here from April 2014 titled Warner Brothers wins lawsuit claiming it stole the Matrix, where the judge noted that allusions to Christ are generally not protected by copyright. And there were a couple of things here that saying allusions to Christianity literature date back hundreds of years and are not predictable. The two works express these themes very differently, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, get to the point where it says it's not worth going into the matchups.
Okay, you know which article I'm talking about here. All right, well.
No, that's not I'm talking about the court ruling. See,
no.
In the court ruling, no, you wouldn't put in an article. They wouldn't do that. But listen to this. That's why we're going to win. Because the whole thing is Gary Klausner, right? He was put there by Bush and Robertson's team. And now he's thinking about working with us on this. Because his clerk told me about this. Because it's like they're claiming no similarities, right? You know how they claimed no similarities? That's why we got them. It's fraud. We never had a day in court. Here's how they did it. Sophia Stewart came to us when the news first broke, right? And the first thing she says, and I have it taped. Of course I do. You hear that a lot. It's very redundant now. But the thing is, I taped her. And on that tape, she's saying to me, the first thing out of her sorry mouth is that, you know, I'm Matrix and you're the missing link. You're 2 and 3, so don't claim Matrix, right? Why? Because the attorney they provided me, Anthony Rankin, wasn't even licensed. They weren't taking a chance that I'd have a successful case. They want me to sue. They want their person in charge of me to sue with. Miss the deadlines, be unlicensed. In fact, it was Warner Brothers' firm that allowed him to be licensed, again, after he missed the deadline for serving the defendants. That means it's over, right? It's over when you miss serving defendants. It's over. But what they do a stipulation to allow him to be served and stipulate for Rankin to have his license renewed. Why? You already won. Here's the reason. They know they're going to throw the case because they have their insiders and bragged about it in court. We have a tape where the guy says they have your back against the wall. They have your attorney in their pocket. You know, you have no idea how much you're being screwed or how much you're worth. It's on tape. Get this. So why are they doing it? Because now they know they're going to throw the case. In fact, Joel Silver goes back to Warner Brothers once this is in charge like this, before he leaves and runs for it. The article says severs his relationship. But as soon as Rankin's handling us, they stipulate for him to have his license renewed, should be jailed, and stipulates for the defendants to be served. After you already won, you threw our case by not serving in time, right? But this is the reason. They know they're going to throw the case, but now they'll have access to the author's notebooks, right? They'll have author to all my notes, all my rough drafts, all my inklings. Everything is going to them. Now they pour through it, and what happens when that case is thrown, Andrew? As soon as that case is thrown, which we never had a day in court. It's all fraud. That's one of the reasons it's like fraud or fraud or fraud. So we're going to nail them. They're going to jail. So it's not a matter of I lost a case. It was all fraudulent. We'll come back now, killing them with what we got. And you can see it on the site, redpillrising.org. We're going to flay them. We're going to flay them. Here's the deal. The reason you throw the case, what you do is you have access to all the materials. You have your planted attorney send everything over. So you have direct access now for the real case coming up. Access is crucial. Well, they had access. What do these clowns do as soon as the case is thrown? Each of them had their own take, right, on the work. So instead of just a Matrix trilogy, Joel Silver announces Oblivion. Disney holds on to it for him. And the lead characters are my sister and brother's name, Jack and Julie. Right. And so they do the identical figures. They do the pods. They do the little girl pointing the sun at the end, the guy renewed, and all this stuff. It's all there. So that's Joel Silver's take. And Joel Silver actually gets it right the second time with all my notes in front of him. Because on the first time around with Matrix, he tells on an article, it's a famous article where he's talking to this Bob Iger, I think it is. And he says, no, Bob, you don't understand. It's robots in the program. And Bob's actually the right one. Joel Silver's the idiot here. He's like, well, I don't understand that. He's like, you don't understand. It's robots in the program. He gets that because in mine on page, let me see this real quick here. It's relevant to actually cite it. In mine, here we go, on page 58. right? 58 of the copyrighted script that precedes the Matrix. It says robot-like agents. Okay, so the real life people in the program, which does, I think we can agree, raise the stakes. If you're not allowed to show feelings, you're terminated. Room of monitors monitored you. Yeah. The architect, yeah, it's all there. And so that's what it's supposed to be. So now when the case is thrown in 2014, Joel Silver can't wait. He comes out with Oblivion, right? Doesn't even finish the novel as the cover story for plausible source material. He's got us. He thinks he has to finish. So he has people who are robot-like in the program. And that's exactly what Tom Cruise plays. Robot-like in the program. He's a clone, right? What is Wachowski's take on it? So that it's thrown, and get this. The Wachowskis announced in 2014 when the case is thrown, they're going to do Sense8, right? Sense8. Well, they had all my stuff in front of them too. What is the genius they lift for Sense8? The idea that you can download other people's memories and draw information from it that you don't even know you're looking for to utilize. But at the same time, you're feeling the feelings and experiences they have, which can drive you crazy, right? That's why in our scene in The Immortals, the Trinity counterpart character is holding Neo's hand because he's accessing the memories to find out about the dome and where it is. But in mine, you're seeing him suffering from the memories of the Smith enjoying torturing his family. So he doesn't have access to his own memories anymore. He only had 3 days to prepare after the Oracle warned him it was coming. Yeah, it all matches up. And so he's there experiencing his daughter in flames and feeling the elation that Smith had watching it happen and causing it. So he's going crazy, and he needs the Trinity character to steady him as he's going to the dome and accessing memories and finally figures it out. That's the Immortals, right? So that's the Wachowski's take on it. And keep in mind that in 2014, when they throw the case, they announced right away, we've got something so big we were not going to write it down. And we made a deal with Netflix right away for $1 million. So without writing a word down, they made $1 million off my work. And what do they call the lead character in theirs that represents Larry? Marx. Why is that important? That's my other brother's name. Small as it seems, it's huge. Keep in mind, they have a penchant for putting the names in, Thomas A., all this stuff. And I'll prove why. Here you go, another one. Bound. I think a lot of fans of the work would know that Bound was the audition, quote, the audition piece that Joel Silver gave to the Wachowskis in 95 when they had another writer finish Assassins for them and they wanted out of Warner Brothers. They said they had to pack their bags and leave, because they failed as writers. They would only succeed if they were given the science project, right? They don't say Matrix. They don't say Matrix until 1996, until they're given the work. And so what happens is, in Bound, what's the lead character in Bound that represents Larry? Violet. Why is that important? It's my maternal grandmother's name. It's been a slap in the face. Keep in mind, the man said that he's obsessed. He keeps, trying to slap and be clever. So it's been a running thing, right? And so what happens is you have them announcing that part. Now, the last guy missing is Warner Brothers, right? The last collective is Warner Brothers. What are they going to do? What's their take on it? Keep in mind, in 2003, Joel Silver said at the end of the shooting, he said, we hope we used up the rest of the story. What the hell is he talking about? If he actually shot it and it was a tight script from before, all complete, then you'd know, right? But no. They're hoping that's why the Animatrix was shot. The Animatrix is shot because all the cool images they were lifting off the Immortals, my screenplay, which is explained to me, lifted all the cool images, ripping out the spine of the story. That's why I didn't hold together, and they even said it wasn't intended to, even though the attorney said it was. So all these cool images come up: Field of Pods, Jack's the Neck, Little Girl at the Train Station, Squiddies, Underground, Key that turns the device to blow the tunnel, identical figures facing off, Earth turning green, Little Girl points to the sun. All that. Okay, on and on and on and on we go, right? All mine, all preceding them, all copyrighted, attested to by the director of the Copyright Office with the gold seal on it and the specialist. So what happens? We've got Greg Silverman. Now, Greg Silverman is basically Joel Silver's prodigy, for lack of a better term. Prodigy, right? He replaces Robinoff when Robinoff is sent off literally to China on a deal with Sony to do films out there. That's how they graciously got a golden parachute and got Robinoff off, right? When Joel Silver took over, because he succeeded in this whole ploy of the Matrix thing, right? He got power. So he comes back and sees his power. He was right, apparently, to them. And so what happens now is this. This is very chilling. We just found this out from the Insider, too. The lead attorney for Warner Brothers and Teresa Wayne, head of the story department, head attorneys, all went over to Netflix. They're now Netflix's attorneys. And that's where they're now laundering Altered Carbon. But back to Greg Silverman. Greg Silverman, what's his take on it for Warner Brothers? Elysium. Elysium. And what was Matt Damon given to see in Elysium? Not a script. He said he was handed a visual storyboard. These guys are too lazy to write it down. Keep in mind that we have on tape also, at my deposition, we weren't allowed depositions to them, of course, but in my deposition at the end of it, Rankin, the attorney, had taken my tape recorder, right? It matched his. So he takes mine, says we can't record. I said, okay. Pockets it. Tapes on his, even though he said he can't do it. Hands me back the wrong tape recorder. Hands me his. And what's on that tape recorder? Warner Bros. Attorneys at the end after deposition saying they don't ask for disclosures, don't ask for initial disclosures, don't ask for anything because it's a moot point because we don't have anything to give you. There's no working drafts. How the hell do you have a trilogy with no working drafts? How the hell do you have a movie with no working drafts, right? None existed. So that's on tape. That also goes into the real case where we actually have due process. So to answer your question, the 2014 article about we lost, no, we never had our day in court. In fact, they gave us more ammo to really come through and win because all this fraud is going to be brought forward. They can go to jail, racketeering, RICO. All this is coming up because we haven't touched it yet. So it's game over, and they know it. That's why Joe Silver just left Altered Carbon. He just left it, right? He's on the run. He's on the run again. And that's why I was run down by a car, and my son was murdered, and my other son was murdered. So the thing is this. We now have them where I'm considered an asset, right? That means, let's finish the thought, 302, the 302 idea, right? Now, if Fitzpatrick has me 302'd, right, with his control of the local police, right, which is a tactic even Robertson uses, local police, to do his bidding, that means that I'm now shut away with the criminally insane. No recourse. It's like Guantanamo Bay for citizens in the country here. You can be taken away anytime they want. If Fitzpatrick wants to get rid of you, another corrupt politician, under a Spielberg or Hollywood, power, then you are simply hauled off in the night, no recourse. It's rubber stamped that you were going to kill your family, your loved ones, which is going to be a stain forever on your record regardless. You're shut away for the criminally insane. You will not have devices that you have access to. You won't be able to email. You won't be able to write even with a pen for the rest of your life. You're done. But if you have 14 other screenplays like I do, it works like a charm for them. It's their answer for their strategy for an acquisition of intellectual property because now they can take your house. They can go to your house and search it and take anything you want under gathering evidence. And here you go, Mr. Spielberg. And here you go, Mr. Iger. And here you go, Wachowskis and Joel Silver. Take what you like from the pie and the treasure. That's how they do it. And here's the worst part. I'm shut away, and it's explained to me this. I'm shut away with the criminally insane. After 3 weeks, I get a message. We can work a deal. We can work a deal because I'm considered an asset. They're golden goose right now because I have all these, better than the Matrix. I have them just right here. We're going to make it once we get our studio company going. So the deal is this. I'm offered I can come out of this lockup with the criminally insane, see my broken son, who's been now programmed to think his dad's bad and everything. He gets his broken dad, semi-broken dad, because you can imagine what wear and tear is going to happen there. So we're together, and I'm going to be fixated on trying to help him or take our broken lives and live an eager life, right? Meager life. But at the same time, they offer me that I can write for them, but no name credit. But I get to be with my son. It goes back to the exact statement they said before. We know you're concerned for your son's safety. See? It goes back to that whole theory. This is their strategy. They think all this out ahead of time, like the art of war. Now, here's the other deal. What if I said no, Andrew? What if I say I'm with the criminally insane? I grow a pair. I have the courage. And I say, you guys, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to say no. Guess what? I get slipped later. A note. Guess what that note says? My last surviving son just had an accident. And guess what happens to me? I'm Epsteined. That's what we call it now. Epsteined. I end up hung. And what does my sister do? He's been calling me all the time saying he was suicidal. It's over. And she gets another trip to London. Another congressional dinner. Black tie. And another announcement on the congressional floor that just happened. That's how dirty this guy is. Now, the good news is they've gone so far. It's so obvious that I'm getting top firms offering to help me for free. I was called into a top firm here in Doylestown. They sat me down. They said it was like I was in Meet Joe Black, right? Talking to Anthony Hopkins' character. Looked a lot like him. Same setting. And they're setting me down with partners, and they're going, we want to know your story. And we're going through it and like, oh my God. All right. Well, this is actually out of our range because they deal with $1 million suits, not $1 billion suits. But they had people they could talk to. So they gave me their card and they said, if anybody comes to you again, before you even breathe, you call us and we'll have their asses. So now I'm an asset to the good guys, right? I'm out of the gauntlet now, Andrew. And now we know we have them because here it is. I want to finish this thought. We addressed the court case, I think, pretty sufficiently, right? We haven't heard any court yet, but we will. All the fraud and everything. Klausner has made overtures that he will do the right thing. So it's already, he's actually saying he's not going to block it. He's going to allow it to go in. How about that, right? You don't want to be a legacy of a bad guy. So here we go. Because if you look at the robing room, his whole thing is about you don't break procedure or you're thrown. They broke procedure over and over. No ADRs, didn't ever tell me, didn't even see my depositions, kept it out, employed on stipulations on all kinds of stuff. So here we go. The Matrix script we have, the Immortals, right, predates them. It's copyrighted. There's no copyright in the Matrix. Matrix 4 now they're doing, but not the other one. So if we make our screenplay, what happens, guys? What happens? We make our screenplay 190 matchups, including Jack's the Next, Squiddy's, Little Girl at the Train Station, all that, right? And explained and clear. We make that. What are they going to do? Put an injunction on us? If they put an injunction on us, here's the catch-22. They put an injunction on us, they just admitted we had a similarity. That means we won our case. If they don't put an injunction on us, then audiences, love it or hate it, they're going to come to see if this is real. They're going to come to with a checklist, basically. 190 iconic matchups, right? Even with the idea of the Smiths getting out of the car and you see shoes first walking, that's ours, right? All this. And so what happens is, even the eyes flicking to the left to get orders. So anyway, that means the audiences are going to check off all these matchups. Only one does it. You only need one. And we've beaten them. Back we go again. They cannot beat us now. We will not lose in court now because we're not working with a provided attorney. And they didn't just provide an attorney, they provided me my wife. Let me just give you a nutshell what happens here. Take a look at this and see if it doesn't give chills. Who is Rebecca Northcutt? I didn't know who she was. I was on Maui doing very, very well. They left me alone. I think it was that so I could build up a period where they can bring this girl in. First of all, Rebecca Northcutt comes along to where I'm doing improv. She starts taking classes and shows up. Next, she's handing me her number. I say, I don't call women. I don't do that. I want it to be, a natural thing between me and people. So then she tries this. Give me your number. She's on the take, right? She's on her take. So I'm like, okay, here's my number. She calls me 3 weeks later. She gets with me to go to dinner, Indian restaurant, and she's telling me about how she's a prude and so innocent and doesn't have any life experiences. And she looks like somebody I would like, the curly hair and the piercing eyes and all that stuff, right? So I thought, well, then she's really pretty, buxom and all that. I thought, well, that's a pretty person. She sounds really intelligent. Yeah. Well, who is she really? And here's the part. She has a criminal record in Modesto, California for prostitution. It's like they just did Game of Thrones on me, right? They wanted to emasculate you, first of all. But by giving me my own wife that they control, right? Who they have something over, they're hanging something over her. That criminal record, right, is hanging over her. If she does her job well, then she's clear. Success in Spokane, Washington, playground of Hollywood. So what's her job? Access materials, guide me the right way, have me do the case when they want me to do the case. How'd that happen? Right at deadline, 2009, right at statutes, because 1999, 2009, 10-year is your window you have. Otherwise, that's it. So not sayonara. They want me to do the case so they can have access to my materials because they'll make sure it's thrown anyway. That's how you think of this. So what does she do? She goes, honey, come over here. Sweetheart, look. Here's an image of a little girl pointing at the sun. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. Yeah, you go along, you're like, whoa, that's amazing. Look at this. Here's a little girl at the train station scene. Whoa, honey, they took your work. We better contact an attorney. So who did she contact? Someone she says she's never known before. Turns out it was her landlord from before. Her landlord, Anthony Rankin. Yeah. So this guy does this whole song and dance about he's classmates of Linda Burrow, lead attorney. And what happens is before we even get to do a case, he says he goes to Disney World and runs into, lo and behold, he ran into Linda Burrows, his classmate from Warner, now working for Warner Bros. And he said, by the way, she's going to be handling a case against you. Well, how does she, wait, hold the train. How does she, we didn't even put a beep out there. We haven't told the world anything. How does she know, first of all, that you're going to represent us? And how do you meet at Disney World happeningly? And how is she going to be representing them when there's no case even coming up? Right? They're idiots. And then Rankin returns with a full new staff, gets rid of his partner, remodeled law firm, new conference room, full renovated kitchen. Something about renovating kitchens that my sister is doing that too. But that's it. Isn't that crazy? And so what happens to Rebecca Northcutt when the case is thrown? When the case is thrown, Andrew, I come home from work and there's all these people I've never met all over our carport and driveway. Chairs, lounge chairs, beers, partying, feasting. What's going on? And my friends are there too, invited by Rebecca Northcott with mouths hanging agape, saying, Tom, this is a breakup party. It's like they're writing a B movie. So I come home from work and I find out those boxes that Rebecca Northcott had put her name on, where she said she was going to give us more Lebensraum, more space to live in. And so she was marking these boxes. I thought peculiar she kept putting Rebecca Northcott on them. That was ready to go. Pack and go. To where? Spokane, Washington. Why? That's where Mike Lang is, Harvey Weinstein's boss. Playground of Hollywood. Mike Lang of Southern California disappears in 2012 when we came forward. And then he gets this multi-million-dollar, most expensive property, historic property, in Spokane, Washington, right? And so he's ready to reward Becca. What's the last thing we do as a family? Off we go to Modesto, California. After we're reunited, after she leaves me, because the case is thrown and does this breakup party, she goes right to Spokane, Washington, of course, where Mike Lang is. And then because we can do an appeal, she comes back. After 3 months or so, we can do appeal, we're told. So she calls on the phone in tears. Honey, I didn't mean to leave you. I love you, and I don't want to leave you ever again. And I'm like, you're thinking, oh God, for my son, I should let her back, and maybe it'll work. She sounds so repentant and contrite, and wow, and gives an Academy Award to her. So I asked my son, should we give her a chance? Yeah, Dad, we'll give her a chance, one more chance. So she comes back, and what does she do? As soon as the appeal period's over and thrown, off she goes again. And what happens in that scenario? Her record's expunged, right? It's expunged. She won't tell us what it is. An attorney researches and lets us know it's prostitution, among other things, right? She was in jail. She's an ex-con. So that's cleared. Deal's made. And so she sends us off to Canada for our safety. Sends us off to Canada. I know you're probably thinking, some of you are like, what a naive idiot. But you got to understand, if you have a son and you're trying to make it work and the woman comes back and is like really contrite and like forgiving and you're forgiving, you're going to try maybe. You're going to try maybe, right? You want it to work. So anyway, whether or not that holds. And so what happens is she sends us to Canada and she doesn't show up. So we look, she says, leave everything with me. It's going to be safe with me. Just go. I'll take care of it. It'll be safest with me. You guys get to safety. Go. So off Aiden and I go to Canada, friends of hers, right? Friends of hers, which is hell. And what happens is she doesn't show. And so we check her emails. And there on my birthday is an email from Mike Lang, among many emails. And on it is a picture of the multi-million-dollar property, Lang's on Howard in Spokane, Washington, right? And then under is a picture of his bed with a shaving kit on it. And then under that is the words, Becca, move in with me for 60 days, ? On my birthday, for maximum effect, they're told. And what's Becca's response? This wonderful wife who said she'd never do it again and loves us so much and sent us these cards saying, like, your soulmates. I have the cards just gushing, right? We're going to be there. It says, very nice, smiling, blushing icon. And all our stuff disappears. Our bank accounts are drained. And off Mike Lang gets his little prodigy back. And that's what then Altered Carbon's announced. And what's the premise of Altered Carbon? Joel Silver with Altered Carbon, right? Drawing again a lady from USC, like Sophia Stewart's drawn from, right? To fool the public and blow the smoke. What is the premise? Rich people in the future have immortality, and the poor are used as pawns. What's the premise of the Immortals? My work, right? In the story treatment itself, what does it say? The rich have immortality, and the poor are used as pawns. And they're saying it's the greatest concept ever conceived, and the closest thing ever to Matrix. So go back to your 2014 entry about the case, being lost. They just said that's the closest thing to Matrix, and the greatest thing ever in sci-fi. But Clauser was supposed to say that it's mundane, laissez-faire. No, it's not. And what did their expert witness say? Pete Rose, or Dr. Rose say, for $60,000, what does he say? That Althouse created a fantastic world. He even complimented me. And what are they doing now to rip off Matrix 4? They're writing from the Matrix world. And are the Wachowskis writing it themselves? No. They put a big thing out there to find a writer that could. And they couldn't find anybody really in the whole world. And then I'm getting these contacts calling me, could you write Matrix 4? They're actually, Andrew, contacting me and saying, could you write Matrix 4? Right? And I'm like, yeah, I could write it in 30 days. It's my world. I can do it easily. So like, okay, well, we may have something for you. That's what's going on. So the Wachowskis announced Matrix 4 the same day I called the main contact, Patty, right, who's told me a lot of these things too about the criminal record and stuff, and said, I know now who is at fault, who the main architect is. the architect. It's Michael Eisner of Disney. That very day they announced, oh, we're going to do Matrix 4. Because Wachowskis don't want to lose their chance to do it. So they jumped the gun. And here's a real big jump the gun by the Wachowskis, by the way. And I want to share this with audiences and yourself, Andrew. That was 346 titles I told you about on the copyright entry, The Mortals, which can be seen on redpillrising.org. It's all there. Look at the 346 title entry. No body of work. Okay, those titles are there because all these different studios had takes on the work, right? In fact, the suits of Warner Brothers said, and when they opened up, they said, okay, we know we got something cool, but we don't understand it. Can you explain it to us? Wachowskis couldn't explain it. So Joel Silver takes over explaining it and says robot-like agents, right? That kind of stuff. So why are those 346 titles there? Because whoever has a take on the work, if they stay within the frame of those 346 titles, that means that slot is viable to insert that script in. And that's why they have different studios claiming the Immortals, including Spielberg and the Wachowskis and Joel Silver all have their slots. Warner Bros. Has their own slot. Why do they all have their own slots? Thank you, Spielberg Insider. It's too clear. Why do they all have their own slots? They each get their own slot to stick the work in, their version of it. See that? Now, the Wachowskis did something stupid, like always. They went off the page. They didn't pick one of the 346 titles. You think they would. No, they want to be clever. So they picked the title The Matrix. Not on the page. Now there's a problem for the Warner Brothers. There's a problem for Joel Silver. Problem for Dino Laurentiis. These guys didn't pick one of the titles. What do we do now? We just won't copyright it. That's why The Matrix isn't copyrighted. If they had picked one of the 346 titles, then they would have been fine. They got one of the slots. And they preceded me. Because they copyrighted my title. Right? Well, I registered with the Writers Guild. There you go. So here we go. So they just totally went off page. And what were they supposed to stick my personal entries in? Keep in mind, Susanna Bolgen said, anything for a split second is for their eyes only. Not Warner Brothers, not Joel Silver, right? Not Sophia Stewart. And she blew a gasket when she found out these entries are there. Now says I'm working with Warner Brothers, by the way. So anyway, here these entries go in. No one's told about it. The Wachowskis slip in high school, dad's name, birthday, my name, and in the column, my age, initials, date, and then the clock face, exact birthday, age, and more. So here they are caught. Why'd they do it? Why did they do this? Because now they have a leverage card. I'm never going to see it. The only person that knows these entries is me, right? But the caller who called from inside Warner Brothers, you can see it all right there, right? There's a Central Bucks West, or Central West High, we called it. So if I'm the only one that would really spot it, unless I'm told, I'm never going to see it. And I am told. I'm told at a very key moment. And they keep calling now. So here we have them. So the Wachowskis wanted to have a leg up on Warner Brothers. That's why they stuck it in. So that if they got screwed by Warner Brothers, they're going to play innocent and take them down. Look what they did. They stuck that in there. We didn't know. We just thought we were, working on work, and they stuck all that stuff in. Yeah, that's their leverage card. Why would they do it? Because they hated Warner Brothers. Why are they angry at Silver and Warner Brothers? Because in Assassins, they brought in another writer to finish it. They wanted out of Warner Brothers, had a huge feud, went all the way to Writers Guild West. You can look it up in the articles. And finally, Joel Silver gives them something they said they wanted really badly. There's an article that we have where they say, exclusive interview after Bound, right? And they said, okay, you've done Bound. What's next? And they said, well, we have Plastic Man and Carnivore, which they're still peddling, right? Ender, they're still peddling it. No one's picking it up, even now. Nobody wants it because it's B movies. Keep in mind, their Bible, they said, was how to make $1 million in Hollywood without spending a dime, basically. Make B movies, then you make profit, right? B movies, profit off the investors. You're not spending much, collect. Just collect it all. Give them garbage, and collect. So what happens is you got this. You've got them wanting to do Plastic Man and Carnivore. Then they say pause on the transcript of this article. It says pause. We hope to be given the science project. Now, they didn't say Matrix. They didn't say we want to do our piece Matrix. They say we hope to be given the science project. All right. So that's why there's no copyright on the Matrix for fans out there. No copyright because they went off page. They went off page. Right. So that's the way they covered it. We just won't address it. Well, they copyrighted Assassins. Dino Laurentiis and the Wachowskis copyrighted Assassins, and Dino Laurentiis is copyrighting the Immortals title, but they went off page. And they also went off page when they went all the inserts. So now it's out of the bag. That's why Joel Silver is running. That's why Bob Iger was going to call. That's why they're cleaning house. and I'm told by paparazzi, one of the top ones on Maui, Rick Leaks, I'm being told that it's common knowledge throughout the industry we're ripped off of. In fact, they were actually putting 7-2 on clocks. Like if you go to Man in the High Tower or High Castle, they have a 7-2 entry on the clock. It's something. It's now a joke in the industry. So it's common knowledge, and that's why these people are coming forward now. So it is game over. We have a catch-22 on them. They can't beat us. We hold the piece that precedes them. All they can do is try to make more noise through some trolls, right? And Sophia Stewart, and get her people kicking up and going like, he's a fraud. Don't listen to him. He looks ugly. Whatever they can do to try to make noise, but that noise is going to die out with the evidence taking over.
Okay, so, since you mentioned that, I'm sure that the trolls are going to have a field day with this when I upload this.
Oh, yeah. Sorry,
so, are there any in particular that you? Are there any trolls in particular that you can mention my name that you can just say now? I know that you're a troll who's been stalking me, and I want to just get it out now to.
Yeah, well, you'll see it by the way they write too. Watch what they put down. You know, I mean, you're going to see things like his hair looks well, not a radio show, but his hair looks dyed. Obviously, you should show anything they can say, and they'll often say Sophia Stewart's the writer. This is insanity. This is cruel. And even Sophia Stewart has a couple accounts herself, a couple extra accounts that she puts her own things through as if the other person's writing it. That's precious. And she'll slip and say, I think Sophia Stewart should get her credit. She did it. And then she'll say, I worked hard on that script. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed. And that's what people are saying. My sister didn't either. But it's like some of these interviews are going like, yeah, I actually interviewed her. And I got to tell you, she was like, nobody's home, just spouting off garbage as if it sounded intelligent, So yeah, anyway. But yes, a troll list, I can get you a troll list, but they keep popping up. And on that, I want to tell you this too. One of the ways they try to destroy my life, right, too, was get this. They have a penchant for reversing things, right? Like, keep in mind, the little girl in the Matrix is named Sati. In mine, it's Brittany. So they rearrange letters, right? But there's a guy named this. His name is Marcus Bradley, right? Now, Marcus Bradley doesn't exist. But we have the account where he's spreading around to different people, just harrying us. Any business I'm in, any friend I have, basically, any person who wants to date me, they're contacted by this Marcus Bradley, right? But they slipped up. His IP address came through, right? And so we find out this Marcus Bradley, who is he? Marcus Bradley is Bradley Marcus. That was clever. Who's Bradley Marcus? Part of the Marcus brothers. It should be Marx brothers. Bradley Marcus works for the Saturn Awards, right? They showered it on Wachowskis. He's also best friends with Spielberg and claims to work for Joel Silver. Are these guys that stupid? So the trolls can have their heyday, and it'll fade away. It won't be so popular to be trolls after a while. But the thing is that we got them. Andrew, we got them hands down. Every talking point's going to be coming up now. It's going to be like, he lost his case. Here's the citing. He lost his case. No, we never had a day in court. And it's all fraud. It's going to bite him in the butt now. Now we will have our day in court. And even the judge is saying, go ahead and do it. So we'll have our day in court.
And I encourage you very much to make it clear that no threat is going to make you shut up. I have come to the realization that the whistleblowers that are the most likely to get hassled and in some cases murdered are the ones that start showing fear and get timid when they start getting threatened.
Right,
so
right. Well, here's the deal, Andrew. Here's the deal. Okay. The age of that is ending. It's ending. You're going to see more and more. It's going to raise eyebrows. Why was Epstein killed? He's not the main guy, right? The middle guys who facilitated didn't do their job well. Uh-oh. In Hollywood, if you didn't do your job well, right, you're dead. You next stop is the cleaners. The cleaners come to your home and clean up the mess. The thing is this. Think of some of the people who are really caught now. Some of the ones I want to announce online that might be dead soon. You ready? Mike Lang. Mike Lang. What an idiot. You know what the contact told me? The reason he took Becca to bed, and you could put a bag over her head. She's not pretty. But the thing is that, I don't know why they're doing this, but I'm saying it because of this. She said he did it for his ego. To take another man's wife is supposed to, to emasculate him or something, But I didn't want her. When I found out she had a criminal record, bye. Right? Prostitution? No, thank you. But he takes her for his ego? And I said, well, why did Becca go? And she goes, for success. And I said, well, she's a loose cannon. She'll go to, she read this book. The only book she downloaded, get this, is The 40 Ways of Power. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's worse than Machiavelli. It's like Machiavelli on steroids. So it's all about, play both sides of the thrones and then murder the one and pick the winning one, right? Well, she murdered the wrong one. I'm still breathing. So now we're the winning one. So here, Mike Lang has a problem. He did something really a big no-no in the industry, and I want to put it out there really loud. What did Mike Lang do? He implicated Michael Eisner, right? And there's a real firestorm going on right now. He left a trail backwards. You do not leave a trail in the Hollywood cartel. You do not leave a trail back to the kings and the castles. You do not, but he did. Shaving kit on the bed, multi-million-dollar property, with an email on my birthday to Becca Northcutt. It's like Obama writing her, saying, move in with me for 60 days. And Becca's response, I mean, and you know what happened to that email? That email was struck from our devices. But you know what else happened to that email? We put it on external drive, butthead. So since I'm talking to Mike Lang right there, not you. So that's it. So what happens? This lady, Frida Babson, she's on my site, Frida Babson, right? To beat his strategy, keep in mind, Mike Lang's title when he started in Disney in 93 when I submitted, right, was basically summed up, executive in charge of strategy for acquisition of property, intellectual property. So what really is his title? Let's paraphrase that. I steal shit. That's my job. So Miramax Film was formed to implement that strategy. When we came forward in 2012, what happens to Mike Lang? He leaves. He becomes the head of the board of Film Tracks. What's Film Tracks' strategy? Acquisition of intellectual property. And he says it's tricky to get intellectual property these days, you know, but he says there's this warehouse in New Jersey. That's pretty cool, huh? Where we used to go to the shore. Warehouse in New Jersey that has the library, Disney's library. What's Disney's library? Explained further in the article. Disney's library is the hard copy scripts of the early 90s they don't own, that they wanted. Well, what's mine? Early 90s, hard copy, sent to them. Can you get better? So here we have his strategy. So think of it this way. They got more and more revealed as the years passed, and I didn't die. And they kill my son, I keep going. And you know what Aiden said to me? I'd love people to actually go to redpillrising.org and see the tribute Aiden made. That they're freaked out about that. In fact, I think Spielberg's man came to me because of that 2-minute tribute. When you see it, you see everything capsulized by an amazing young man, like the firm said, going far, who surprised us with that, right? And look at that. So here we survive, and they do more and more blatant things. And here Lang is literally caught with his pants down. So what I did to beat his strategy, since it's about the death of the author, right? The death of the author, figure out what you're going to do. If it's about death of authors and then inserting in the slot, what did I do? I did something they never expected I would do, I'm sure. I shared my copyright. I took 4 families that I thought were deserving, even though I said that my stuff's worth $1 billion now, over $1 billion, right? I took my work and I shared it with those that were, you know, could use the boost and that were generous people, sweet families. And cars started showing up outside their homes, taking pictures. But I shared it. What happened to Frida Babson? Wonderful lady, a grandmother who does art, sweetheart, writer, and her husband Richard, right? And when the deal was being made, when I was talking about doing this, the phone kept getting cut out. Their phones all died. These services ended. It kept getting cut off. But she takes it on a zip drive, right? What's it called? The little insert thing, the little thumb drive, right? So she goes to England with a thumb drive to distribute among European friends. You know, we're distributing this Mike Lang thing since they struck it from our devices. So we distribute it. So off it goes. And we let them know it's distributed. So when she's there in England, staying at this one rural place where they don't even lock their doors, the dog gets poisoned. There's a break-in. When she gets to Gatwick Airport, guess what happens? She gets up to Gatwick Airport, right? The terminals. And she's pulled aside with all these Interpol or whatever, like security rushing towards her. She's pulled in a room and they scan her carry-on, and it's coated with bomb accelerant. And it's in the news. So they pour this poor lady was a heart of gold, and she can tell you about it, Frida Babson. And that's what happened to her. Because Mike Lang is so sick because he left a trail, not that so much he's caught with his pants down, but it leads a trail back to Eisner. It leads a trail back to Eisner. Now we know Eisner, and I'll put it out here. Michael Eisner is the father of intellectual property ripoff, and he is the one that's now trying to have a legacy clear by saying, I made a bad choice with Harvey Weinstein. Well, that's Mike Lang is Harvey Weinstein's boss. But you don't mention Mike Lang, right? So there you go. It is game over, as they said. I didn't realize when they first told me it's game over what it meant, but now I do. Now they're not going to kill me. They're going to kill all the people in the middle. So Mike Lang may end up dead, hung. Maybe he MacGyvers some kind of mattress. You're going to probably see a couple others I know about die too. One of those is Larry Wachowski. I think Larry Wachowski has a expiration date coming up soon. I think he does.
Now, hold on just a moment here before I give you the chance to name some more names of people who you think will be meeting their demise.
Have you? I want to go back on these guys. I want to bet on their lives for once. Go ahead.
Out of curiosity, have you asked any psychic mediums to communicate with your sons on the other side, or considered doing that?
It's a great question. I didn't ask, but they're doing it. They're saying they're seeing my sons beside me, that they're telling stories in my ear, and they're describing them when they didn't even know them. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's happening. I'm being told that my sons are lifting and right beside me. So I love that you asked that question. That one I didn't see coming. That's cool.
Well, that's probably why you're not showing so much tears in your eyes when you have to talk about them, because you know that they're there. And it's
right. Amazing. Yeah, I feel right here with me. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's right. That's good to know. Now, interesting, before going on, one more thing I want to get out before I give you the chance to mention some more names here.
I love it.
Maybe this is a sign of sorts from the universe that this is a very interesting and important interview that I'm doing with you now. The past couple weeks, I was actually having visions in my head spontaneously of that Simpsons episode where Bart Simpson finds Chester J. Lampwick, the guy who invented Itchy the Mouse, and they sue the studios for $800 billion for the guy who invented Itchy had his idea stolen. And I'm thinking maybe two reasons why I had the visions of that. One, because your case of having your idea of the Matrix stolen kind of sort of resonates with that, and also because Kirk Douglas voiced the Chester J. Lampwick character in that cartoon, and he passed away recently at the ripe old age of 103. So that was the universe's way of saying Kirk Douglas is about to die. But you still hear me? Or
yeah, I'm here. Go ahead. It's great.
Yeah. But I think that's the secondary reason as to why I was having visions of that, and I think the primary reason was because I was going to interview you, and the lawsuit of inventing Itchy the Mouse is somewhat similar to the lawsuit of who invented the Matrix. Now, when it comes to the guy in The Simpsons, he sued the company for $800 billion. Of course, it's a cartoon. That would never happen in real life. But tough question to ask you. When it comes to suing people for stealing your idea, I mean, is it in your best interest to go all out and ask for as much money in the lawsuit as possible, or is it a better strategy to sue for a very, very small amount as a way of saying, I don't care about the money, I just want the justice? And because maybe if you actually try to sue for a lot of money, well, just like people who won the lottery often have very unpleasant lives after they win the lottery because the money brings more problems than good. Do you think the same thing would happen if you were to sue for a lot of money in a situation like this?
That is a great question. That is a fantastic question, because I've been on both sides of that question. I mean, on both both scales. I have thought to myself, what if I sued for $1, right? It'll show people that I'm not out for the money. But then I thought too, what did either that or sue for a whole bunch of money? So I'm on both sides of that one, right? But then I thought it this way: if you want the best law firms, then sue them, but give a huge percentage to the law firm. Like, I'm ready to go 50%, 50-50 down the split. I'm ready, because I want this to be right. I want the best. I want the best legal minds. And with what we have, like I said, I got that top law firm in Doylestown, and I didn't expect to be going all over the Matrix. It was an hour and a half, session. And they're walking. That's like Anthony Hopkins guy is like walking me out. And he's like, "We'll be in touch." He's like, "Take this card, and they bother you again, you just hold this card up before you breathe. You call us, and we'll take them down." I'm like, "Oh my God," So now I'm considered a gold mine. It is game over. It is game over. But let me say this. First of all, that answer is I'm on both sides weighing it. I don't know. I'm going to talk to friends about that one, and I want to bounce that one because I'm not sure what to do. But I'm leaning towards if a really great law firm is there that wants to handle it, then they have to go for the fraud part of it though, and the RICO, right, which will nail their butts to the wall, right? It'll be a candy show. But the thing is that then yes, I want to do a huge contingency for the law firm that comes on board. Yeah, because this will be historic. But yeah, right. So that's my answer, I think.
That's cool. And regarding how you want to do this with attorneys and all, now I follow Eddie Craig and Randy Kelton of Rule of Law Radio, and they've done a very, very good job of exposing the extent by which the powers that be, powers that should not be, whatever you want to call them, it appears that the occupation of choice that the powers that be, Illuminati, like to use as their minions to do their jobs on planet Earth
Yes.
is the
Yes.
attorney. There's more
Yes.
attorneys working for
Yes.
the Illuminati than any
Yes.
other
Yes.
occupation. And
Yes.
when you realize that, how can you possibly think that your attorney is actually going to be there to help you when in reality he's doing no such thing? He's just trying to do his part of the line to make a business out of it. And
That's great. Yeah.
how do you know you're going to get help out
Here you
of
go.
this?
Here you go. Are you ready for this? You ready for this?
Okay.
This is so cool. You're gonna love this answer, I think. The universe, or whatever you want to call it, providence, universe, whatever you say, right? I always say I have a clear platter, no constructs on it. I accept everybody. I celebrate their faith. I don't adhere to religion. I celebrate anybody's faith. You know, any faith you have, you could come to me and I celebrate your faith. Anyway, that way we'll never be at odds. I have to be that way because of my work, you know, so I can include a whole world. But the thing is this, look what's happened in our story. All these attorneys that have come to us, it's freaky. It's like the universe is showing that it's one leg up on these guys, that this is a time that's been planned. This is coming for a long time from ancient times. I believe that now, because where does the major story come from? How do you get 190 new iconic ideas coming to you when all ideas are supposed to be done under the sun and that there's no new ideas in Hollywood? How's this flowing through me? How am I writing this thing? And it's like I get this middle page scene, this end page scene, and it all comes together perfectly in the 120 zone, that sweetheart zone. How did it happen? You know, and never drop off. Just be so full of these things, and the connections are beautiful. Like later, we'll talk about how you balance the equation. So first of all, then, what happens? There are synchronicities that are just mind-blowing. Is there powers in the universe? I bet there is, and I have a whole philosophy of where it comes from as the writer of the Matrix story, you know, which is the morals, which they even copyright the morals. Here's what happens. You have a Smith agent in mind called Kurt Behringer, right? Kurt Behringer, that's the Smith agent, right? So how is it that the attorneys for Warner Brothers include the guy Kurt Bessinger? Is that close enough? A little close?
Kurt Bessinger?
Kurt Bessinger, Kurt Behringer.
Oh,
close
sure
enough?
I guess so.
Okay, well, here we go. Here's another one. Linda Burrow. Burrow. Well, down the rabbit hole. Burrow. Anthony Rankin. Anthony Rankin. That's good. Yeah. And then you got this one. This is the real killer. This attorney for Robertson that was involved in this. He changed his name to, and I'll see if you get this one. He changed his name to Damian T. Horn. Does that ring a bell? He chose that name. Damian T. Horn. Put the middle initial with the last name and put it together.
Oh, something about devil's horns, Damien.
You're on the right track. In the Omen, the president is shown in the last scene holding a little boy's hand who turns and glares at us. He's the Antichrist. His name's Damian Thorne.
I've seen that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
He chose the name. Pat Robertson's attorney chose the name of the Antichrist. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So all these guys, all these attorneys keep. Oh, and one of the attorneys for Robertson too in this was named Huff. Huff. It's just amazing. And then the other attorney was named Anderson, and then you got Rios, like up the river. It's just amazing. To me, it tickles the mind. It's like, wait a minute, these things are here. Like these names are coming up, and it's like I have to laugh when they say their names, you know. And then one guy's named Sohol. It sounds like, you know, you can, without saying it, you can kind of get the idea what it sounds like, you know.
Yeah. By the way, you can use profanity on this show. It's not a problem.
Okay.
But
soul. So I'll just tell Soul's an asshole. Anyway,
yes.
Anyway, yeah. So now we got them on the run where they know they could go to jail. We're talking RICO, fraud, you know, conspiracy, everything down the line. I mean, they had us on the ropes when they're stealing from us, and that's why they wanted to go ahead and resurrect the case, even though the statute for the time for serving them was over. They won. So why would Joel Silver allow himself to be served after you've already won? The case was thrown, right? Plus, they could have gone back and said, well, Rankin wasn't licensed, so it doesn't count. And that's why they reinstated his license at the same time. They stipulate to reinstate his license. Burroughs did it. And they also stipulate in order that you can go ahead and serve the defendants, even though you didn't get a chance. So why? So they have access to our work. They already have the case thrown because Rankin was already, you know, missing deadlines, and there was already a suspended license, you know. So they wanted to. Isn't that something? So we got them on fraud, on top of fraud, on top of fraud, on top of fraud. It's
Well,
yeah.
that's great and good for you, and I wish you the best of luck. And however, this is probably the hardest question I'm going to ask you all show. Um, the idea of copyrights and plagiarism, you do realize the only reason that's an issue is because you're living on a planet where money exists and there's competition in business. I have actually done interviews with people in the past in the ET contactee field who would assert that all the other worlds out there that don't have money, nobody's going to get sued for plagiarism or copyright infringement. In fact, there is no such thing as a copyright because everything on those worlds is viewed as being, well, we're all one infinite consciousness. The idea of suing someone for stealing an idea would be ridiculous because everybody's consciousness is shared by everybody else and
Okay, well,
there's no money, so there's no
you're
competition.
gonna love my answer.
Unlike,
You're gonna love my answer.
okay,
You're gonna love my answer because I have a plan that goes right with your thinking. We're on the same page. Why was the Matrix story Immortals written? I left a lot of the backstory out because I wanted everybody to fill in their own personal experience, so it became their story. Now go with me. So that's why the Wachowskis, we got their version of it, and the idea was that anybody who put their personal life into it to make it theirs and had a take on it, they're right. So everybody in the world will be right on their take on the story. It was written that way. That way you bring audiences together, right? And you also talk together what it means. It was meant that way, so people have to talk to each other to figure it out. Now, here's the best part. I already shared my copyright with some people, didn't I? My plan is after I win, I'm making my copyright under the ownership of everybody on this planet. Everybody will own my story.
good for you.
Own the Matrix. You will own the Matrix. You will own it. Your kids, your wife, everybody owns the Matrix. When I'm done, I'm giving everybody ownership. Because, yes, that's the way it should be. We should be creating art together. We shouldn't be competing with one another. And it's getting in the way. And this is the other thing that goes away. This is what also gets in the way. All these fat suits, the Silvers, the Spielbergs, they call them. You can call them that in Hollywood. Spielberg, Joel Silver, Michael Eisner, Mike Lang, Harvey Weinstein. All these guys are in the way of great art. They're not needed. They're the drones in the beehive. They need to be kicked out on their asses. They're in the way of great art. In fact, when there's sessions, they come in and go, well, why don't you put this in? And it's probably going to be crap. Get them out of there. Let's have the artists do it, and let's free it up where the artists are safe to create work, share ideas, and it's about creating art for art's sake. It's about creating art to evolve humanity. It's about creating art to bring humanity together. And if there's a code in my piece, The Immortals, yes, there's a code there. And I think you'll appreciate this code. In it is written to be a mystery, to be a beacon, to bring really intelligent critical thinking. It's written for critical thinking. I think we can agree, right? Critical thinkers. Bring them together. They come together. They have compassion, passion, creativity. And we have all these people now with cross disciplines coming together, and let's solve problems. Let's take an hour a day each day working for a company to solve problems. Let's create the world's greatest think tank that are totally opposite of the Hollywood mentality. That's the code in the Matrix, if you want it. And it's even in there in the word. If you look at the Immortal script throughout it, it's not Trinity. It's the other biblical word, remnant. Gathering the remnant. And that's in there. It says it, gathering the remnant. That's the code. The people that have a heart, that understand how the universe is, or have an inkling, have compassion, creativity, talent, you're going to feel a tug. You're going to feel like, I wonder what this means. And you'll never know from the source work from this ripped off version, from the Wachowskis. Because what the Wachowskis are doing, they're simply fans of sci-fi. They're lifting every image they think is cool because they want to look cool, not servicing the public. They want to stand up and like statues in the public, worshipped by the public. So they're lifting all the images they think are cool, ripping out the spine of the work, and it doesn't make sense. So you cannot, just for everybody out there who's struggled over what it means, you can't get the answer. You're not going to have it. Unless you look at the Immortals. If you go to the Immortals, it's all tight there. You got to see what Wachowskis drew from that they thought were cool and lifting that Bonaventura had the entire pitch session to, and all his questions answered. And now go to look up Bonaventura on Wikipedia, Lorenzo di Bonaventura, and see if he does not say there, I discovered and shepherded the Matrix story. I'm one of the few that understands it. So look at the Immortals and be one of the few that understands it. And see if it doesn't make sense. That's why we got them too if we make it. If we make it again, here else it goes. If we make it again, they put an injunction. I thought you guys said there was no similarities. It's over. You're caught. Right? We win. We win. If they say, leave it alone, we won't touch it, then the world's going to see 190 iconic matchups, at least, Where, what happens then? Well, obviously that court ruling was wrong. We're back in there. They cannot win. They cannot win. That's why they've been doing this for all these years to me. And I love what you said. I'd never heard it before, but you said it. You nailed it. You put it into words. The reason I'm not showing the grief over my sons is because they are with me. And God bless you, or Providence bless you, or Goddess bless you, whatever you want to say, for saying that. Thank you for saying that, for acknowledging their presence, because that is true. And that makes me a powerful father.
You're very welcome. It sure does make you a powerful father. I still owe you some time to mention some names of people who you think are going to be dead.
Oh,
before we
yeah.
do that, I want to get.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. You mentioned the whole thing about Freemasons in your interview with Alfred Weber, and I believe how you had some connections to them. The trolls would have a field day with that, but everybody needs to understand that the Freemasons, they're not conspiratorial people. They're not bad people. The only bad things that they've done is because they've been infiltrated by groups that want to do
God, you
bad
said
things.
it so well. Say that one more time.
The only reason Freemasons are doing bad things is because they've been infiltrated by people that want to do bad things.
People write that down and put it on your wall and sign his name. That is the answer. Thank goodness you said that. That is the answer. That is the answer.
Yeah. Just go back to George Washington's note saying, I'm very concerned, my fellow Freemasons, that we've been infiltrated by the Bavarian Illuminati. And, well, that's kind of where the...
And new name is CIA operatives. Lauren Holmberg. Lorenhomberg, on Maui, who designs gates for rich people and is also an operative for the CIA, is also an infiltrator in the Masons, and a very, very bad man. And he's the one that was bringing me in and said how it was great, my work was so amazing, and said about, don't try to make a difference, right? Don't try to make a difference. You're one of the elite now. A bad man. So, yes, they are working together with Hollywood. Yeah, very good.
Right. And one more thing about Fitzpatrick. You mentioned the name Fitzpatrick. I typed Mike Fitzpatrick in after I heard your interview with Weber, and I thought he was dead. That's the wrong politician. It was.
Can you imagine that, going on the correctional floor for a school counselor and announcing how wonderful, hold an overblown picture of her? What the hell? But go ahead.
Yeah. There's no question that Brian Fitzpatrick, the politician that you mentioned, he's definitely corrupt.
Oh my God.
Wikipedia page, two things that stand out there. One, he supports the idea of fighting climate change, which is a fraud, and he also wants to take our guns. Any politician that wants to take your guns has a tyrannical agenda. So,
you know it.
Right.
And it's big Bush supporter, and Bush is a big Robertson fan. Did you know that Pat Robertson took Bush in before the whole war thing started, the endless war? It was Robertson's idea to have an endless war. He ran for president in 1988. I was supposed to be the face of the Christian Coalition. That's how the Matrix Genesis comes from, is my experience with Robertson's organization. So what you got is, I was like a Forrest Gump, I'll tell you, Andrew. But the thing, it's like, so Bush answers Robertson as, and who's Trump's attorney? Jay Sekulow from Law and Justice Center, which was formed by Robertson, right, in the early 90s, so that he wouldn't be a second-class citizen, to get more conservative decisions over the liberal ones. So it's not about evidence. It's not about evidence at all. It's about getting more conservative decisions, so he's not a second-class citizen while infiltrating the world. And who was his first pick for federal office out in California? Judge Gary Klosner.
Yes, connect the dots and you find out a lot of things. So, it's 7:43 Eastern. We can go for another 20 minutes or so. You want to mention all the names of people who you can name who you think are going to be dead, not to knock on wood, jinx them or anything, but you have
some of them I don't give a crap what happens to them after this. They were integral in what happened to my son's death. So let them hang. If they want to hang and swing, let them hang. I mean, you're talking about criminals on criminals. If they want to clear it out, have at it. Clear the space and make it room for good people. I'm sorry, but these people, some of these guys, they need to go. And if they're going to take each other out, take each other out. After you've done all these innocent families like Gray State and these other people, have at you. Sorry.
That's all right. All right. Well, the idea of one more thing I want to ask you about movies and all, the idea that some of the things that we see in movies that is soft disclosure, revealing the truth under the guise of fiction.
Yeah, you saw it in the entry, didn't you? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, they also do it in video games too. I've heard some of the video games where you go to Mars. Some of the depictions are in the video games. It's actually a very accurate description of what.
I got to tell you one thing though. You got to hear this. Bethesda Corporation, Disney, Spielberg, Warner Bros. Are all in it, right? Guess what they did? Halo, not Halo. God, what is it with the son underground who's aged and the dad hasn't? They use all my son's names, Sean, Kirk. They use brother Tom, brother Jack. They're all there. They use Emma my mom's cousin. They use everybody in my family in this video, very successful video series. What is it called? Oh my God, I'll think of it later. I'll tell you later what it is. It's incredible. But the Bethesda is a laundering firm for the studios in Hollywood. Bethesda Corporation.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So these movies that expose truth under the guise of fiction.
Yeah.
The one theory is that's actually a way of the powers that be resolving karma. When they do that, they actually resolve karma, which is good for them. Kind of
Right.
not good for us though, because if they're, I mean, is it good or not good when the powers that be show things in movies that expose the truth in an attempt to make amends for the bad things they've done, when they know that there's a lot of people on planet Earth who will just dismiss it and say, well, that's fiction. I don't believe in fiction. Well, it's not fiction. It's truth under the guise of fiction. But whenever you see something in a movie that is truth under the guise of fiction, as someone who's brought the ideas for a lot of these things, do you have any advice or suggestions on how you can better wake up humanity, all those people out there who will just dismiss it and say, well, that's just fiction? Any
Yeah.
advice?
Yeah. I got a lot of advice, but I don't
Okay.
want to stay up too much. But one of the biggest ways, and you just took me right to it. I have to say it one more time. The way we beat these guys' asses. You want to take down Hollywood? And in fact, I have paparazzi telling me a whole new Hollywood's happening because there's common knowledge about the theft of what we have here. And that they said, just stay alive. It's dangerous people in Hollywood are helping you. They're going to make it happen. So I was just supposed to stay alive. Well, I did that already. So now what's happening is my son and I are still alive, and we have the ticket. So now the fact that we have the immortal screenplay, preceding them, as soon as we make the screenplay, if investors get behind that screenplay and we make it, you have a new Hollywood. You have a whole new world. Writers are going to be vindicated. You watch the dominoes fall. All these other writers' work will come forward. We'll have a gold age in Hollywood. That's all right here now. That's why they're all running from the ship right now. Joe Silver running and all these other guys like Bob Iger. So the thing is, we make this film, get investors behind it, even if it's like nickel dimed and piggy bank's broken and here's a couple of quarters. If we get this thing made, they've lost. That's one way to beat them. Now, another thing we can do is we need a truth forum. We need something where we have people can go to it. They're cleared to be people who are actually solid critical thinkers. I want to have a critical thinking forum that you earn your dues. Prove yourself. Prove you're not a troll. I don't know how we would do it exactly yet, but I'd like to see some real critical thinking going without the garbage being passed around. The idiots getting on there. Sorry. But the thing is like this. We look at the matrix, right? Those first entries, you just turned me right into it. With the high school, my dad's name, my birthday, and my name, right? Okay. What's the next page? Do you know what's on that next page? I only showed 2 pages. What's on the next page? What entry?
No,
What?
I drawing a blank on it myself. I have the page up here.
Okay, no, you have my page, but do you have the matrix itself where it shows the you have an entry where it shows the second page?
I don't think I do.
Okay, listen. Ready? What the second page says? You ready?
Yeah.
9/11.
Oh.
That's 1999. Now, why do they say that? Well, the author was with Pat Robertson. That's the genesis of the work. And what was I talking about? Robertson wanted a false flag operation in order to galvanize to an endless war where he would suspend all powers like Hitler did as a patriot thing. And he would have basically total power, dictatorial power. So what do the Wachowskis do? I explained that because Bonaventura said, why is this way? Why is this Dooley character in here? What's the thing with the architect and everything? And I explained, well, Robertson's organization, that was his plan to do an endless war by doing a false flag. It's in the pitch session, Andrew. So what do the Wachowskis do? They want to be clever and lift everything they can that's clever, right? So they put 9/11 on the second page.
Yeah, there was a lot of 9/11, pre-9/11 stuff that that eventually was could be thought of as a clue that 9/11 was going to happen.
That's right. They test subject things like test things.
Exactly.
Right. And then they do Art of War. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Hollywood seems to be your major area of trying to we got to get the bad guys out of Hollywood, but it's on the other side of the world and all, but I can't see why you wouldn't want it to be part of your problem if you get my drift, because if you don't solve the problem there, then well, there's always going to be a weak link in the movie industry. I'm talking about Bollywood in India and
Yeah.
all the other foreign industries. I guess you're not an expert on those things, but do you would you be willing to bet that all these problems that Hollywood has, the
Yes.
other movie industries have, or is Hollywood maybe the
These guys
exception?
want world power. They want world power. They think of other countries, from what I understand, as small little cesspools that they can control and puddle through. You remember Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder?
I haven't. I've not seen many movies, to be honest with you.
Okay, I don't blame you. But if anybody's seen Tropic Thunder, Les Grossman, the Tom Cruise character, is based off of Joel Silver, my nemesis. He's in there in that film doing his raging and yelling at another country, their group, and saying like, "I'll come and screw you, I'll fuck you over," going like this. And so it's like, that's Joe Silver. So Joe Silver, yes, they want to feel like they rule the world and farm the women to themselves. So it's funny that think of this, Joe Silver. It's kind of flattering. The only guy he's really run from is me. Think of it. And they're the ones saying that they're afraid of your power. So, and I didn't think I had any power, but now I think I do. We can change a whole world. This stuff gets made, and I'm known for the guy that actually wrote it. Then we can have that dream of gathering that remnant together, these really good people, and make a difference. So I am on a world scale vision here. I am looking at the world. I want to help the world. In fact, I had an idea that I wanted to see happen, that once we succeed and form our studios, right? And anybody that worked for me, I'd be like, okay, you work an hour and then you enjoy life. Come back and get salary to work an hour because you'll put in good time. Then go take the rest of the day for yourself and your loved ones. That's how, then you get some good workers, right? And so the idea was this: have each country start to have their own major studio films. Celebrate their history, not America. Let them celebrate. Let them have their time. Let them have their day in the spotlight. Let them celebrate, bring to real quality their history, and we'll learn something at the same time. Let's flesh out their histories with real quality films and let their people, their kids, get excited and inspired and dream. Let's do it. You know what Larry Wachowski said that his role in making kids dream is? They look at his hair, his clown hair, and they see dreams. I'm like, buddy, please just go drop off. No, good work is where you cause the dreams. It's stimulating what might be possible, new ideas. Hollywood just keeps rehashing and rehashing and rehashing. And here we have all these writers like Gravity, Avatar, Superman, all these guys out there, Kill Bill, all these people I've been talking to, right? Different ones. Many of these people I named. So the thing is that what happens when their work gets resurrected the way it was supposed to be? The spine's back in, not ripped out, right? We've had spineless stories by them just lifting the images out were cool. In fact, Warner Brothers story department and their story, which Greg Silverman also does an article on, they actually take work and just lift out the images that are new and cool. And basically, it's like taking farm animals and ripping out their guts, and we lost the living creatures. We lost the beauty. We lost everything. There's no more living around us. It's just stripped dead meat. And that's how they operate. They've been slaughterhousing great ideas, slaughterhousing great works. It's like taking Shakespeare's works and ripping out, oh, it's a cool image, let's take it, a cool image, and you never see Shakespeare's works. But you see cool images from Shakespeare's works done by juveniles.
Of course, Shakespeare's works, there was no William Shakespeare. They were
Right.
Sir Francis Bacon and his minions wrote them.
But okay, Mozart then. Okay, cool.
Funny you mention Mozart. I was actually listening to some classical music by Mozart yesterday, trying to learn to love classical music more. I hear it can bring out a lot of consciousness expansion to.
You know what you can do too?
Yeah.
This is one of my writing things I do. Put the music in a different room, play the music very low, let it so it just you hear it just enough, and whole new note creations will happen. And you can create music that way. It's really cool. Just keep it very it's a trick I use where I start to create my own music by hearing a piece of bits of music, and then I'll wait a minute, on a whole new thing. It's really cool. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. I think I may be out of questions here. So in these last few minutes here, I'm going to let you get out anything you like. Update us on a time frame. You keep saying we're going to win. Well, when it comes to lawsuits, it seems like it always trudges on forever. So
out. Yeah, but no,
Why don't you give us time frames and all? So anything you like and a time frame and what you're planning to do for the future. And
well, if these interviews keep happening, like, I mean, I'd love to see 8 a week, like it's been happening. That'd be great, 8 a week. I like doing the what was it, Caravan to Midnight the other night. That was really cool. And doing your show, this is great. And then the one with oh God,
Weber. Yeah.
yeah, what a great guy. And then the other lady after him. There's another lady after him. Anyway, it just keeps getting better and better. Oh, I want to point out something to you. A very low echelon nobody, Terry Joyce, right? She's kind of used up, dried up, nobody. She came on, and if you look at my site, there's a lot of Terry Joyce interviews, right? If anybody looks, though, this is how the inside works. The rewarding system, like with a sister, right? Here's an example I want people to see. There's 5 Terry Joyce interviews, and in the last one she did, she's like, "Oh, I can't wait to do the next one." She looks like she's on, like one of her friends said, she's got a crush on you, basically. She's like as skinny as a schoolgirl, Okay, so just like my sister, all like, I'm your biggest fan, right? So if you see the videos or any of them or any parts, you see Terry Joyce all excited, right? She has like a 300 viewership, very low scale, right? And she's living in a bus at the time, so I wanted to help her too. So we're doing all these interviews together. So then I get this text, and get this, are you ready? The text she shows me, that she sends me, is on the death of my son's birthday, Sean, and it says, "Oh, I've been contacted by FBI, California FBI agents and other people." So, and then she turns. So then she does a video trashing me. So she sold out. And it's amazing. There's an example of how it works. It's basically nobody. She's not a very nice person, but it's like, here she goes. This person who was like 5 videos in a row, you can see all praise, love you. Oh my God, it's amazing. Can't wait to do the next one. That's gang stalking. You're gang stalked, Tom. She says, I'm being gang stalked because I'm doing this with you at the time. FBI says that the FBI's approached her, and suddenly she's trashing me, doing all the talking points that my sister does. That's how they work. So here's a living example of, again, what my sister's doing too. That's how they get you. They contact people working with you. They contact your jobs. They contact family. And family is very important too. Your pillars, basically, right? They contact family too, because if they can get your family to isolate you and get that magic words, he's suicidal, then they've got you. Then they finish the job, right? So yeah, or 302 you. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to point that out, that I thought that was really fascinating, that we have examples of complete 180s. But anyway, she's not worth even discussing. But yeah, so anyway, yeah. But no, this is great. I loved your show. This is fantastic to get on here. And I wish we could open it up to questions, because I'd like to know what's still swimming around the soup, or what about this, or what about that.
I used to be on Blog Talk Radio, and then I went on when I was able to get people involved at a live level, and then I switched to Capricorn Radio, which I thought I had nothing to lose and everything to gain, because I didn't have to pay a yearly $400 fee like I did for Blog Talk, but that went defunct unexpectedly, and the guy who ran that disappeared off the face of the earth and wasn't talking to anybody when he came back, including me. So I've kind of been a stray radio host in distress ever since early 2017, doing Skype to Skype pre-records, which I upload to YouTube. Okay.
So channel through some questions your audience might be wondering.
Oh, well,
it's a mean question. No, go ahead. You can do it.
Well, I guess one question people would want to ask is, if they actually go as far as breaking into your house to take you, do you want to actually let them take you in so you can make things hard for them after they took you down, or are you actually going to grab your gun and blow their brains out?
No, I've already got one of the most powerful firms you can find that stepped in for free and said, if they do this again, before you breathe, call this number. And they even told me that today. They told me today again. How you doing? No, okay. If they do anything, you contact us right away. We'll take care of them. So I already got the top guys. I got Anthony Hopkins on my side, basically. So, meet Joe Black. I'm set. They come now, it's over. They could be going to jail already. So they're not going to haul me away anymore. They can't do it. They can't do it.
That's good to know.
Yeah. We're through the gauntlet, Andrew. And that's going to make it safer for other writers now. I am telling you, I do not believe other writers are going to be offed anymore. I think that age is gone, because we survived the gauntlet. They are very concerned, and I'm told by contacts, and I tape these, they're very concerned about Tom Althouse right now. And when I say that, I get chills and a feeling of, yay, we're made it. Okay, there's responsibilities. A lot of things that come to me with that, including the feeling of my sons around me. So a lot of emotion goes into that. It's not a flag of tooting a horn. It's a heavy, burdened responsibility to see this through keep my character intact, go the distance so others don't suffer what my family suffered. And that is my main goal, to finish this right. And because of people like yourself, it's going to happen. If I didn't have the people like yourself helping me like you're doing tonight to get the word out, then yes, they would have succeeded. Because they said, because you did interviews, Tom, you've won.
Great, and I will make sure that I upload this to YouTube by midnight tomorrow at the absolute latest. I always say that to my guests, promise them that. I have to upload it to a YouTube
Wait, have
compatible
I been
format.
on camera? Because I've been laying back picking my nose. Am I on camera?
Well, you are
Because
on
I've been
camera
laying
now, but this will be audio only when I upload it to
because I've been
YouTube.
out of the
So,
screen. I've been like bouncing around, leaning back, being like, Mr. Layback. So, okay, so I'll apologize if it is.
well, yeah, I've been seeing you this whole interview because you had your camera on, but this will not be. This will be audio only when I
I
upload
don't
it to
care.
YouTube.
Show me at my raw. Show me at my raw. It's fine. I didn't dance naked, so it's fine. Go ahead.
Yes. All right, so it was a pleasure having you on. I will send you the link when I upload it to YouTube. Please, by all means, put it on your Red Pill site. And, well, good. Best of luck to you. I'll be following your
Thanks.
case for
Yeah.
sure.
I just want to say, too, redpillrising.org, critical thinkers, take a look, see the evidence for yourself. We need critical thinkers to rise up. Critical thinkers. Take the flags. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's finish
Let's
this.
do this.
All right.
Best
Yeah.
of luck to you.
Save a lot of lives. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.